So about 2.5 years ago, right as I was getting back from probably one of the darkest periods of my life, when my family was pretty much uprooted completely. There was a lot of, I'll make a whole other video on that at some point, but about a year after that dark season, I kind of decided to build a plan after I'd started to see a little bit of success online, and just sold my first 50 or $60,000 worth of stuff, like services, courses, everything like that. And you can check out that video. It's called how my $1 million marketing plan, like what I'm gonna do. And it's funny, like every now and again, you're able to, as a man, kind of step back and reassess all the elements of your life. And this has been one of those seasons where the business is kind of consistently at a certain point where I have the ability to breathe and I can step back and reassess. And so in today's video, I just wanted to very candidly, I don't have a script here or anything, I'm just really speaking off the top of my head, to be honest. Just show, like, what's my plan for, the next stage. Because, at the time that I'd recorded this video, which will be linked in the description, maybe Robert, you can show the thumbnail on the screen. Or actually, when I mentioned the video, just play a little clip of it on the screen. I'm wearing like a blue shirt. I've got my whiteboard hung on my bedroom in my parents' basement. So today I'm going to share my plan for selling $10 million worth of what we do. And just kind of breaking it down because, I felt like when I put out that, that video, it gave personally, like selfishly, it gave me a lot of clarity on the next season. And it also showed kind of my peers and some of the people in my network, kind of what I was planning to do. And it seemed to also inspire a lot of people who were following me at the time. And at the time, nowadays it's probably got 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 views, something like that. But at the time, it literally got like 150 views. Like, it was a tiny, tiny video, and it didn't get a lot of traction because I didn't have much going on for me online. So anyway, I'm going to share my plan for selling $10 million worth of our program, services, consulting, and maybe you can, pick some lessons away from this as well. Okay, then in order to do this properly, I figured the right place to start would be kind of like a state of the union. Like, where is the business right now? What have we accomplished so far? How far have we gone? I figured the best place to start would just be showing, kind of inside of our current client community. This is, what we've been able to build. So we've got, just under 300 people, actually probably 300 people inside of our program, making sales, growing their business, they're coaching their consulting businesses in different niches, some of them being agency owners. We've got a lot of, like, we got Brett Lark sold a $10,000 profit deal, sold a package a day halfway through his 30K goal in February. So we've got people who are mostly, at that zero level that want to get to that, $20,000 to $30,000 mark in that program, right? And this is with like any niche, any industry, any coaching, really. And the whole idea of that program is to help people build their offers, build their organic marketing process, and grow. And so that's been the primary cash cow of my business. The next step is that's the consulting blueprint. That's what I just showed you. The other program is called the scaling blueprint, and this is our mastermind offer. And this is where we really help people build out their teams. We help them run ads to get more consistent with sales call volume. My team works directly with their team, and they get directly trained under the people that have grown my business to this 7-figure level. And so, back when I made the old video of, back when I made the old version of like this video, I'm going to actually move myself up here just so I stay nice and out of the way. At the time I'd sold about $100,000, $50,000, $60,000. So not even really 100,000, but like $50,000, $60,000 worth of stuff. And I started with the offers in mind. So these are actually going to be the two offers that I want to take to that level: the consulting blueprint and the scaling blueprint. I think these could generate us, $10 million in the next 2 years or so. And so that's really the goal. And right now, our funnel kind of looks something like this. Let me go ahead and did I just refresh the page? How do I make a new? No, I'll just refresh the page. All right. So anyway, our current funnel looks something like this. We've got, 4 channels. We've got YouTube. We have ads. We have cold outreach, which is actually doing pretty decent for us. And then we have appointment setting. And so both of these, generate for us currently anywhere from, 4 on a bad day to 10 on a, good day. So about, 6 to 8 sales calls every single day, which brings back for us, about, $100,000 a month in volume. And my primary overhead is really just the team, And since we're just now launching ads, it's really the ads as well, which, we're spending just over $1,000 a day to slowly start to crack that. But I also know that right now, the problem with our ads isn't, honestly, all this ties back to, like, man, how do I explain this? I've been throwing a bunch of money at ads, right? And ads are doing actually quite well. So we're spending $1 and making like 2 or 3 back. And we could, people would be like, oh, why aren't you spending 5 and making, 10 or 15 back? Well, it's because I just know that that's not the long-term play, right? Ads are just kind of a supplement. It's just a way to easily grow the bottom line. Our best month so far was about $180,000, and most of that actually came from organic. The ads, really what I see the ads doing is almost like filling a cup. Whoops, let me actually redo that bottom of that cup. Kind of a cup with, opportunity. And then, some of that will convert straight from the ads themselves, but the rest will fall over, and really it'll just build my reputation in general. And that reputation will allow me to, quote organically, bring in more clients. So the whole idea of ads is just to be consistently filling the cup. I'm not even really going for profits, even though some people would argue that if I were to just focus on that, we could get to $300,000 to $400,000 a month pretty quickly. But, I really don't want to go that route because I want to have a deeper brand presence. And so I'm going to explain that real quick. So I'm making 2 moves. So first of all, we've got our 4 marketing channels. I'm going to kind of just boil them down to a few really simple channels, and I'm going to leave all of them running, but I'm going to personally focus on a few. First one is YouTube, okay? And, I've actually gone ahead and hired a new YouTube creative manager, basically. And this is somebody that has grown a handful of channels to, upwards of 500,000 subscribers throughout, a year or 2. And my new role is really to just make the videos that, I'm being kind of coached to make. And obviously I will give feedback and let them know when I feel like we're kind of off course with the sort of content that I personally feel like fits our brand the best. But they're going to be doing research and figuring out, videos and, basically doing like SEO research and helping me know what videos to make. And this guy has a pretty good track record. So I'm actually going to pair him. His name's Lewis. I'm going to pair him with a guy that I met, and I'll leave his name, actually quiet, because he's actually helped a lot of major YouTube business brands get to like, 200, 300, 400,000 subscribers. And because I know right now that our message is quite needed, helping people, start and grow online education and coaching businesses based off of their current passions is something that, I'm personally extremely passionate about. And this isn't really, honestly, this is not just about growing our bottom line from 100,000 to 300. Like at this point, it's crazy how many people are in our program that say like, I need this. This isn't like a business model for me. I need this life purpose that this business model gives me. I now have a sense of like mission and vision for myself, and I'm also making more money than I ever thought I would. And so how do I, as a marketer, communicate that this is legitimately what I consider to be the best opportunity, not just as a financial vehicle, but as like a life vehicle? We live in a culture where there's a lot of depravity. There's all kinds of weird stuff going on, like politically and economically, and we need leaders. And so really changing our message from, here's how to start a consulting business to, empowering leaders and visionaries who to, kind of lead their tribe online and make a lot of money doing it to continue to fuel, the leadership. And so that's kind of like the new kind of version of what I'm trying to push. Is this isn't just like a quick way to add $10,000 a month to your income. It will do that, but our goal is to give you the tools you need to individually lead people in the way that you want to lead them. Like, for example, my mom now, and I'll probably bring her onto the channel soon, she now helps like other parents homeschool their children, because I was actually homeschooled. And that's what this, model can be. It can be helping people with something that you genuinely feel is needed in our culture and that you feel is valuable to other people in a deeper sense. And yes, you can just build like $1 million a year business, pretty much just following the trends and like what people need right now, and just simply just following market need. And that's honestly fine too. So either way you want to take our programs, we can do that. But I want to shift the narrative a little bit from like it being like an online business model, because I see a lot of our competitors in the industry kind of doing that, to like, here's how you actually take, the lessons you've learned in life, whether as a younger person or an older person or whatever, the steps that you've taken, and you actually turn that into an impactful business model that equips you financially and equips your clients with the breakthroughs that you've gone through. And so kind of changing up our messaging a little bit and then, quadrupling, 4 to 6xing down on our YouTube efforts, because I've noticed one key thing, and this one key thing is it's just a theme over and over again in my business. Like, when I'm consistently putting out YouTube content, the business grows. When I'm not doing it, the business dies. It's just like so consistent. And like, I've tried to break this pattern, but I realize it's not YouTube. What it is that people want to hear from their leader. And like this, I say this with as little arrogance as I possibly can, but a lot of people genuinely see me as their leader. They see me as their vehicle. They like would pay $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 just to be in the same room and learn and just soak up the lessons. And I'm having to like almost humble myself to the fact that that's what people see, because the bottleneck is that I personally am not accepting that role as a leader. That's been the bottleneck, is that I'm personally, so you guys will notice that it all kind of comes back to the person, the individual. The reason we haven't already sold $10 million worth of our stuff isn't because our offer doesn't work or our marketing doesn't work. It's because it's me, dude. It's I am not telling my story well enough. It's I am not showing like how deeply spiritually, psychologically impactful the lessons that I've learned in growing my business have been for me and the man it's made me into. And I'm not translating that in a way that really spurs people to action. I'm legitimately starting to feel like some guilt. Like I'm legitimately starting to feel like guilt, because I feel like more people, it's not even like optional. Like I feel like if I don't get this business to like 10 times bigger than it is right now, I'm like hurting people. And it's because I've been in a state of a lot of contemplation and prayer. And I've really been thinking about like, what do we really do and why do we really do it? Oh, whoops. Let me get this back up here. There we go. What do we do? Why do we really do it? And what's my mission? What's my calling? And especially like having marriage on the horizon, marriage in its nature is going to kind of like, especially as a young man, it's going to kind of get a lot of the, selfish fleshly desires out of you, like for status, for like ego rubs, like for more women around you, for more recognition. Because it's like ultimately like no matter what you do, you're going to have this one girl and, this one woman. And so it's very orienting, and it orients you spiritually in a good way. And so I know this isn't so much of a business plan. Like some people are like, okay, Trey, what content are you going to put out? Shut up about like all the spiritual woo-woo stuff. But like this is where my head is at. And I realized that, I've been viewing this business kind of the wrong way. It's just not about our offers and services. It is about leading people. It is about leading people and giving them the same breakthroughs that I've personally experienced that have given me the life that I now live. And, the life that I live is peaceful. I wake up to the rising sun and I just sip some coffee and like, sure, there's going to be some stress and there's going to be like, that's the nature of running a business. Sure. But like, I look around, I'm like, I feel like I'm doing it, and I want other people to have that sense of like, I'm giving people something that matters to them. I'm making good money. I'm setting myself up financially. Like worst case scenario, like literally worst case scenario, I will retire with $10 million. Literally worst case scenario. And I know that because like in best case scenario, I retire a billionaire, and I see the path and it's like, it's clear to me. And so, of course, I don't even really ever plan on retiring. But not many people have that sense of both impact, security, and a long-term mission and vision and like clarity of where they're going. And I feel a desire to step up and stop seeing my business as, I've got this offer and I'm going to sell it to people, which honestly, like that's where my head will go sometimes. And I'll just look at the bottom line to, if I really want to sell 10, 20, 30, $40 million worth of like what we do, like I have to step up as a leader and realize that, wow, I've got like a God-given gift, a GGG. and this God-given gift is like clarity of how to grow businesses and clarity of like how to build wealth. And more importantly, in my view, because I've made plenty of money, is like how to impact people in a deep, deep way that gets them coming back for more and genuinely seeing you as a leader. So it's changed from, an offer to sell, and I'm now viewing myself as like a leader, and my job is to lead all these people down here to the truth, which the truth is they have a gift as well. And I want to empower them with the ability to take that gift and change people's lives. All these are heads, by the way. And so I have to humble myself, lower myself down to the point of leadership and bringing myself up, right? because I don't want, like, here's the thing, dude, you don't understand. I don't want, like, I don't want the responsibility of a bunch of people looking at me, and I think that's held me back. Honestly, it has, and it's held me back from being the leader that I could be. And I thought that the only way to get to the top of this mountain is by being some figure that I'm just not. Like, I've thought that the only way to get a lot of attention online is to, like, flex, like, your lifestyle and stuff. And I'm realizing, like, that is one way to do it. But I need to tell my story better. Like, honestly, that's it. So this is why I've, like, hired these people, these YouTube coaches and stuff, and, like, these content coaches. And really what they are is they're more like brand coaches. They're digging into my psyche, dude. And they're pulling out of me things that I didn't realize I need to put out there. So step A is kind of what I just said. It's accepting my role. Accept my role. This is the first one. Because honestly, if I don't accept my role as a leader, I'm letting my people down. I'm letting my team down. I'm letting the clients who have invested greatly to be in our program and in our community. We have 300 people that have spent, multiple four figures to be in our program. So some people have even spent multiple five figures, $10,000 to $30,000, sometimes upwards of that even. And so if I don't accept my role and I accept the responsibility of that role, then guess what? Like, I'm going to stay right where I'm at. I'm going to stay at, pocketing anywhere from $60,000 to $100,000 a month. I'm going to stay at, having some genuine impact in people's lives, but people not, what I want people to say behind my back is now the mission. It's no longer, I want to grow this business. It's what do I want people to say when I'm not looking? Because what you got to understand is if I can ingrain myself into the psyche of my industry by being a leader and telling my story and kind of just living rent free in people's head, taking up a portion of their thinking all day, every day, and then realizing, holy cow, like he's onto something, right? That is what's going to be responsible for taking us to that next level. So I'm thinking deeper about my marketing and like, this is why I'm not just spending more on ads and like putting out more content and just going, all gears on, is because I almost don't want to put my foot on the pedal until I've figured these things out. To accept my role, that's the first one. B, it's a bit more tangible, a bit more practical, and it's since that last video I said, my $1 million plan, I've built a team, and I think it's deepening relationships with team. And when I say deepening relationships, let me clarify this. Really, what that means is, first of all, it's getting more out for what I put in. So more out for input. And what this means is, often when we hire a team, and I've seen this mistake made a lot of times, like even with clients that are in our Scaling Blueprint program, where we literally work with them to build their team, it's almost robotic in that, like, once the team member's there, the team member's there. And they have this sense with their business, there's this almost subconscious sense that, like, their whole goal with their business is just to automate it so that they can, like, go do what they actually want to do. Again, if I don't accept my role, and if I don't lean into leadership, then my team will sense that, right? And I won't be able to get more out from my input. And what I mean by this is, like, like, a lot of times you have to manage, and it's almost like managing is like your team will kind of lose their momentum, and you got to manage them back to the baseline, and then they'll lose their momentum, and you got to manage them back to the baseline. And so in order to get rid of this pattern, my job is, again, to accept my role. Right? And it's kind of, a lot of it comes back to this, but it's not about management. Like, team isn't about management. Team is about who's in this mission with me. Team, and I hate to sound cheesy. Some people are gonna be like, all right, Jay, this is a lot of woo-woo. But you gotta understand, man, when you're looking down at your kingdom, like I'm looking down at mine, and I'm seeing all the moving pieces, I realize, like, all right, this is what needs to happen. Like, it's not just, pay them more. I'm sure I will end up paying them more, though, to be honest. As the business grows, I want to compensate people very, very, very well. It's not just about, have clearer KPIs. What it is it's about my ability to have clarity of where we're going and exactly how we're going to get there, right? So more out for less input really means clarity of vision. So having a clear vision of exactly where we're going and how we're going to get there, right? Knowing the exact mountain we're going to climb and how we're going to climb that mountain together, right? So, how much money are we going to make every single month? What's between here and there? What do we want our client results to look like, right? What do we want our culture to feel like? Having more clarity of these things, because honestly, I put things together and then I'm like, all right, I'll figure it out along the way, and there's some truth to that. But I think you kind of have to go back and forth between that balance of putting things in place and then figuring it out along the way, and the balance of, doing what needs done kind of before it needs done, right? Kind of being a bit more of a planner. So this first thing is set my role. Second is team and getting more out for the relationship input that I put in, the coaching that I give them, the time that I give them, the money I pay them, getting more out for these relationships by buying them into the mission. What's the mission? What are we trying to do? And well, I see what we're trying to do is what I started this video with, which is we believe everybody has a gift. And my whole team is going to believe that. And in that, we're going to move from just trying to sell programs to everybody has a gift. And I see this, and I look around at our marketplace. I look around at, I see people with gifts that legitimately, like, if they just had the right, help, and they had the right knowledge of how to actually spread that knowledge online, build influence, and make an offer that feels very natural and doesn't feel, pushy, how they could, build an incredible, impactful career for themselves, helping other people in the way that matters most to them. And so getting them bought into that. And C, finally, is action. And the clear action steps are kind of as such. And I'll kind of make a new slide for this. So let me go ahead and just copy this and paste and go here. Okay. So the action steps are as follows. A, it's really going to be just like a 1 to 2 long push, a 1 to 2 year push of getting us significantly more viral on YouTube. We're in a season in our culture where people are looking for answers. They are. And YouTube happens to be one of the biggest search engines on the planet. And so, we've, as a culture, what we've done is we've disintegrated the family unit. We've lost trust in our education systems and in our colleges. And we've also lost trust in the media. And so as a natural byproduct, people are using YouTube to find answers. And, I come from a pretty traditional family. I was homeschooled. I was raised, religious and upright. I was raised with values that enable me to have peace, like real peace in my life. And not only that, but I was raised in a home where entrepreneurial thinking was quite encouraged. And so I feel like I've got more of a mission than I've accepted. And so now I feel like it is my calling, my job to get big. If I don't get this, if I do not get famous, then we will lose so much potential impact in people's lives. And so really step A is a 1 to 2 year push of getting viral and getting big. Getting viral, getting big. And this starts with the current viewers. It starts with the people who are watching this video right now. It starts with you taking the time to share this video and show people hey, I love where this guy's head is at. There's a ton we can learn from this guy. We should watch his content, right? And having a message, right? So this isn't just about making a bunch more videos about how to make money online, right? It's not making money on the internet isn't that abnormal anymore. It might have been abnormal in 2014, 2015, 2016, but more and more people are realizing that especially because of COVID and these things, that the internet's actually kind of one of the only safe havens because it's, decentralized from the government, where they aren't able to, outside of maybe taxes, the government hasn't stepped in and regulated internet commerce yet. The SEC is a decade behind, and some people would argue that that's an issue, and I think it is an issue in some ways, but I think it's, as a whole, and this is probably just the libertarian, the free market thinker in me, as a whole, it's a good thing. There's, sin is going to create sin. People are going to do stupid stuff, but the SEC is a decade behind right now. And so until they catch up and ruin it all for everybody, which I know is going to sound super politically incorrect to some people, but just look at their track record of ruining what otherwise would have been meaningful organizations. Because, the leader, was supposedly a profiteer or something. As if profit is the enemy. And these are the messages that I want to put out there. But anyway, a 1 to 2 year push of having a bigger mission and a message that makes more sense to the mass market, and tying this message back into the vehicle. Because my vehicle, guys, is so much more than a program that I sell. This is where we're shifting. So this is where I want to shift the team. This is where I want to shift as a leader. It's not a program. Sure it is, but you're joining a community of people who have that message. And they have a meaningful set of steps that they want to walk other human beings up to create the life transformation that they desire to see in their clients' lives. And so the vehicle is becoming a leader. The vehicle is creating influence. The vehicle is being somebody that people can lean on when they're confused. And that's kind of the shift. And so the Consulting Blueprint program and the Scaling Blueprint program, respectively, are about building the legs around, your message and the impact that you want to bring. Whether you want to be a financial coach for families, right, and help them save for the future, or you want to help people start and grow gyms, or you are a marriage counselor. A lot of our clients are marriage counselors, which is really cool. Or you, one of our clients helps people build robots, right? So like a robotics coach. She helps people find a career in robotics, like primarily like teenagers or young adults, which is really cool. And she's doing really well. Like all these people are doing very well financially, as well. They feel a sense of impact. And so really the bigger mission is we live in a time, we cannot ignore, we live in a time of cultural depravity. We live in a time of extreme cultural depravity, and we need more leaders. That's the mission. And I've been missing it all along. So that's the first one, is getting big on YouTube and getting to a point where you can't ignore what we do. It's just impossible to ignore the mission. The second one is telling my story better. My story of growing up in a home where my father was an online educator, and that's how he made his money. And so I kind of from an early age saw the impact of this model. And then, going through this season where I went through a house fire, which, I'm just going to draw a crude, thing. And this fire, what it forced me into was seeing my parents, my dad and my mom, because they did pretty well financially. So, I don't have, a sob story, where, I was, eating rice and beans growing up. But I do have this, 12-month period where I saw my parents. It was the only time I've ever seen my father cry. It was the only time I've ever seen him cry. And I've never seen him cry again, really, genuinely. He's a strong leader. He's a man. And my life's mission is now to just pretty much just make him proud, really. I mean, that's the whole goal. Literally getting into business, it was all about, and I'm going to cry, dude. It was all about just making him proud. And I saw my family go through this season of intense struggle, having grown up with a lot of options. My parents didn't spoil me by any means, obviously. I was homeschooled to traditional values, never got handouts. I literally had to do chores and read books to get an allowance and stuff. And so I was raised very well. And I think we live in a culture where we refuse to give credit to good parenting too, and I want to give that credit to good parenting, right? But I went this 12-month season where my parents had a lot of insurance scares, and then because my dad couldn't focus on the business that he was running, because we're literally every single week moving from hotel to hotel to hotel for 4 months. And as well as that, my parents were doing paperwork upon paperwork, meeting with lawyers and everything. And, there's just some personal things that I can't share. But I remember this one moment where I heard my mom and dad in the bedroom, and they weren't arguing, but they were just upset. It wasn't them versus each other. It was them trying to figure out, how do we do this? And I remember hearing my dad pretty much just lose it. I don't know. I remember him essentially. I don't know, I just heard, basically my mom comes out of the door and she calls me into the back room. She's like, Trey, I don't know what to do. Could you come talk to your dad? And I was 17 years old. I weighed 100 pounds. And I had no real personal responsibility at that point. I played video games pretty much all the time. And the only money I'd ever made was as a photographer. And my best month was $2,000 a month. And my mom calls me into the back room. She says, Trey, can you come talk to your dad? And I come in there and I turn the corner, and this image of my dad, sweating bullets, crying, and just unsure of what's gonna come next, Now, granted, let me say this: my parents didn't end up needing anything from me, but seeing the man that you look up to your whole upbringing, in a weakened state, it's just this shock to your worldview. It's you've heard this phrase paradigm shift. So I have this moment, and I'm all right, I got to get to work. And I'm going to fast forward through a lot of details, but eventually I find the online education and consulting model, because it was funny. I knew my dad had something to do with the internet, but I didn't understand the model. I never really got it. And he's like, not even, he's like an Amazon coach. So that's really cool. And I didn't know that you could like sell, like I didn't, when you're a kid, you don't see these things. You don't recognize like the moving pieces. But anyway, there's a lot of personal things going on that caused my dad to be in that state. It wasn't just the fire. Like 4 or 5 other major incidents that are as big and as traumatic as losing your home happened, and they're deeply personal. And I can't really share them, to be honest. But that's when I spurred into action. And at that point, I decided, you know what? I'm going to figure out something for myself. And that's when I got online, looked on YouTube, found some leaders, and like bought their courses and did the work. And I remember selling, I started a program, a $300 wedding photography course. And I started putting out videos on YouTube, and you can literally go back and see some of that old content. I've deleted a lot of it now, which is a shame. I really wish I hadn't, but anyway. And that led to me selling that program, but for about $2,000 a week. So I was making $2,000 a week. At least that's the first month that I launched it, right? So I made $2,000 a week, then it went right back down. But I launched it. It was like a $2,000 day, and it started dripping $2,000 a week. And this is like 8 months after this one moment where I saw my dad pretty much just weakened, completely a weakened state. And he didn't really come out of that for a few months. And he was on like, I don't even know if he wants me to share this, but he was on like depression meds and like, so imagine, growing up pretty well off, like especially for Indiana, like we grew up pretty well off, and then seeing it all like flash before you and realize like, whoa, like, God gives and he takes away, it's like the story of Job in scripture really is what I compare it to. So I started making some money, and, of course I've skipped like 8 months of like effort. Like I was getting up at 5 or 6 a.m. I was reading a book like every week, every other week, digging into like education online, and I started just taking my life more seriously. I was hitting the gym. Like I put on like 5 pounds in this time, 10 pounds in this time, eating more and everything. It was just like, I gotta take my life more seriously. I gotta level up as a man. And so I started making like $2,000 a week. And I remember this first day that I launched this program, it was like a $300 wedding photography course, because the only money I'd ever made is in wedding photography, so I figured I could teach that. What happened was like, I just didn't know what to do with the money, to be honest. Didn't know how to reinvest it. All I really wanted to do was just provide. I wanted to give myself a vehicle out of the trauma I was experiencing with my family and feeling like things were really fickle. And more than that, you're fine. And more than that, I wanted to know that I could bring something to the table. And I don't tell this story. And it's just because like I've never really come to terms with that trauma. So like backing up a little bit, accepting my role also means accepting my past and the journey that I've been on that has led to where I am today, and telling that story well, because more people can relate to this, right, than they can to, hey, here's how I make $100,000 a month. And it's time for me to step up and accept that role. So accept my role, tell my story better, the past, where I've come from, and what has spurred me into action. Next is get more out of the team and the inputs that I give them, the time and the coaching I give them, by attaching them to a greater mission and why we do what we do. And the action is really just, honestly, it's getting bigger on YouTube, and then using a lot of that capital to reinvest back into more marketing efforts like advertising and like creative partnerships with influencers online. So really, if I were to just say like one big theme here, and let me expand myself here. I've got this other monitor. If I were to just say one big mission, it's just tell the story better. Attach the story to our offer better. So who is this kid? What has he done? Why should I trust him? Why should I even listen? How does this relate to what we do in the offers that we sell, right? So getting more from the team by, having a bigger mission, right? And then attaching that to, helping normal people start this business. Because we've, for the longest time, kind of been what I call in market, which really means like, there's kind of this bubble of coaches who already sell coaching, right? I'll just say coaching biz owners, right? And these people already have a coaching business, and we've just kind of been serving them with better tools. That's not all the way true. I'd say like 30% of our clients in the consulting blueprint are total beginners. And frankly, I want to serve more beginners. That's like the next step, is so like getting better at serving beginners and then telling a story in a way where we can start to serve those beginners better. Because I kind of started off doing that, But then I noticed that there was more money to be made, and it was easier for me to teach the lessons that I was currently learning, as opposed to going back to the old version of myself and asking what I needed to hear at that time. And so now that I'm doing some more healing and realizing, like, okay, I need to just tell the story of myself better, explain the lessons that I was learning at that time, because a lot of people would be blown away by $2,000 a week. A lot of people would be blown away by that. And if we can get more people to this $2K a week level, selling $1,000 or $2,000 program that means a lot to them, like, that's going to be more impactful, and that's going to both go further than just focusing on creating $100,000 a month case studies, which is what we've done for the longest time. And honestly, we're beasts at it. And the cool thing is, if we get good at this and we start selling, 5-10 people a day into our program, to help them really start this business, if they feel like they have a God-given gift, if they feel like they haven't, I realized that the whiteboard isn't on. I've been speaking so much and the whiteboard isn't even on. What I was saying was, let me go back over here. People can relate more with this. The $2,000 a week would blow a lot of people's minds. You heard me say all these things. You just didn't see me on the whiteboard, which is funny. So I want to move from in-market, which is just coaching business owners who have a coaching business. So it's so funny. I drew so much out, and you guys couldn't even see me drawing it. I totally forgot that I was full screen. To helping people get started. Like, that's the next step, and I realized that that's really the mission that I'm on, and I just don't know a lot of people that have the same mission. I'll be honest, I've met a lot of people in the business, and not that it can't be about money and also about impact, but when I ask people about their business, it is always like how much cash they have in the bank. It is always, where they're trying to grow their bottom line revenue, and that's fine. Like, we're all business owners, and we'll talk about that all day, and I'll talk about that all day. But, like, I don't need status. This is my secret weapon, is that I'm getting married to a woman who will be with me whether I'm broke or not, right? Like, I have a family that respects and loves me, and I have the validation and credibility that I have always sought after. I don't need random internet strangers to validate me, or random people and peers in my business network to validate me based on my numbers. And that, I'm realizing, is my secret. And if I can get out there and accept the role, so let me go back over and minimize myself. So I can go out into the market and accept my role as a leader and tell my story better and explain why I believe in this model, explain what it's really done for me and what it's done for my clients who have also gone down this model. Then that's when we're going to be able to expand outside of this coaches and kind of helping people who are already doing this, and move into kind of accepting the new state of the world, which is decentralized education. Education used to be centralized, where we all went back to the government. We all went to what the government had to say, and we all kind of trusted the government. But what's happening is, if you're paying attention, you'll notice people are losing trust for the government, and we're kind of moving right back out, and we're starting to look for individual experts. And so the mission is moving from make money online selling a high-ticket coaching program to be a part of the new wave of people that are, teaching from a place of genuine wisdom and expertise, and giving people the results in their lives or their businesses or in whatever arena that they're looking for, that the government can no longer provide. That's the new goal, and so I think that's going to get us to the $10 million level. Now, let me say this: could we get to the $10 million level, like, without doing any of these like back end frame shifts about exactly what we do and how we position it and what the mission of my company is? Yeah, totally, 100%. We could just spend more on ads. I could put out more YouTube videos. Like, if I did daily YouTube videos for 6 months, like, whatever, I could just make like how to sell a high ticket coaching package, how to 7 tips for selling over the phone, But there's a bigger thing going on here, and I'm ready to step into that and just go viral with that message. And so I will say out the gate that we need your help, and if you're inspired by this message and you want to be a part of helping decentralize education and put it back in the hands of the people who have the real wisdom, or if you know somebody, or if you have a mission or a vision or a way that you want to serve people and that you want to step up into leadership and lead a small tribe of 50, 100, 200, 500 people and get them to that outcome that you've personally experienced in your life, that's what we do. That is what we do. And so it's a significantly more meaningful business model, and I think people will sense the passion, and they will sense my desire to do this for people. And like, dude, like, I'm so well positioned for this, and so it's going to be a gangbuster of a year or two. So I think it's going to be a new way of thinking. So that's my $10 million plan. Obviously, it's still going to be like sales call based. We're going to hop on the phone with people, offer them if we think we could help them, as we always have. Make offers to people we think we would help, upsell them more services or whatever. But there's going to be just a different tone shift, and there's going to be more of a focus on making Trey Cockrum the hero and making myself the figure, because I've for so long kind of not wanted to be that guy. I've tried to figure out how can I make this business like decentralized from me, because I don't want to have to. Really, what I'm saying is I don't want to have to lead. And when I realize that what I'm saying isn't, oh, I want a business that doesn't rely on me, what I'm really saying is I don't want to have to be held accountable and have to lead. And I realized that what I thought was, oh, I want to build a business that runs itself. What I was really saying when I said that was I'm not ready to accept the spiritual responsibility of getting these people to where they desire to be. And so anyway, this might sound a bit deeper than some people would expect from this video, but let me know in the comments if you understand what I'm saying here. And it clicks, and you can see how all the pieces come together. And if you can, amazing. And I want you to share this video and send it to somebody you think would, send it to somebody you think would be inspired by it. Otherwise, leave a supportive comment, leave a like on this video. And it's time to get on my mission, man. It's going to be a cool season. So just watch and learn, hopefully. There's a lot to come. See ya.